Welcome to Hashimoto's Unfiltered, real talk, real solutions. The podcast where we cut through the noise and get straight to the heart of living with Hashimoto's. My name is Dr. Ray Benedetto, your host, and I'm here to share my expertise, personal insights, and from time to time, conversations with incredible guests to help you take control of your health. Together, we'll explore actionable items, debunk myths, and navigate the complexities of your thyroid health. So whether you're newly diagnosed or a seasoned warrior, this is your space for unfiltered truth and real hope. Let's dive in. Topic for today is that there is a smarter way to treat Hashimoto's. This is going to kind of come from the angle of, ad nauseum. I've spoken ad nauseum on these talks and emails and workshops and you name it. I've banged the drum on how, the mainstream medical approach to Hashimoto's really doesn't exist, but to thyroid conditions in general is a non-starter. It's a lost leader, as they say. Like it's never going to work. So you got to go a different way. You have to typically go a more natural, holistic, functional medicine way. And because, mainstream medicine is not going to serve you in this capacity to help get you figured out and help get you better. So I'm kind of going to speak today's talk on really the functional medicine world, and even kind of more so like the kind of DIY, the do-it-yourself world. Because once someone realizes or they're failed enough by medicine and they're like, this isn't going to work for me, I have to try something different, they're going to go one of those two paths. They're going to go see a functional doctor, like a functional medicine doctor, or they're just trying to piecemeal it together on their own. So today I want to kind of talk about how a very strategic, and this is what I do with my patients, so that's why I think it works the best, to be honest with you. I would do it a different way if I thought that worked differently, but I think this is what needs to be done, and it works well. I mean, it's very systematic, but I want to talk about today about how a very strategic root cause approach, so that way we're not guessing anymore. So a strategic root cause approach can help to replace feeling overwhelmed, feeling restricted, feeling like everything is trial and error, feel like I'm just throwing money at this thing with a functional medicine doctor and I'm not getting anywhere. So I want to kind of break down how a very strategic, very focused root cause approach can replace all of that, can fix all that. And then so kind of by the time we're done today, you could be like, all right, I guess I get it. I see why nothing has worked. And I see, and what you're talking about sounds, actually very different. And I hope it does. I hope it should. So in the functional medicine world, here's what happens. You go to a functional doctor. They're not a Hashimoto specialist. So what do? They run a bunch of testing, and sometimes this could be hundreds, thousands of dollars worth of testing, just looking for stuff to try and fix. They're doing nutritional testing, they're doing gut testing, they're doing food sensitivity testing, they're doing ridiculous amounts of blood work. And it's like, and then we do all these labs, and then the doc gets all the results, and they're like, not a whole lot differently from a medical doctor, to be honest with you. They're like, here are the things that we found. We're going to treat these things. We're going to treat this nutritional deficiency. We're going to base your diet restrictions on this food sensitivity test. We did this gut test and we found this imbalance. So now we're going to, throw a bunch of supplements at you, things like that. And okay, great. And we do that. And it's like, not really getting anywhere. And a lot of times, I'm not saying there's not a lot of docs out there doing good things, but when it comes to Hashimoto's, like it's a different animal. It's not like I have, brain fog or I have gut issues and it's like, we can do this gut testing. It's like, all right, let's do this. And it fixes the gut issue. Like Hashimoto's is there's so many more moving parts to it that model of like doing a bunch of testing and treating test results or treating symptoms with supplements, just like we would medications, doesn't really work. It's not a comprehensive kind of systematic root cause approach. So it doesn't work. And it's like, man, now I'm out a lot of money and like, I'm not any better because we kind of took a medical model and just made it a natural medical model. So instead of like running labs and treating and prescribing medications based on the labs or based on someone's symptoms, we're just doing it with supplements and diet and things like that. It's not a cohesive kind of straightforward systemized, individualized protocol, which is what we need for Hashimoto's. So yeah, we might need to run some tests, but it's like we need to look for specific things with Hashimoto's. Like there's a list of potential root causes that somebody could have that, okay, yeah, we need to look at those things. We don't want to just blindly run the same tests on everybody. That doesn't make any sense. You know, there may be a few tests that I run on like everybody, you know, like you guys have heard me talk about it. Like the two that I really love are Dutch and DNA, because the Dutch test, because they're tests that people don't run ever. And so there's a lot of things in there that those tests can find that are common root causes for Hashimoto's. So that's why we do those things. But outside of that, it's going to be very individualized, and, you know, it's going to be different for everybody. So now we hit this dead end on the functional medicine route. So it's like, all right, well, I guess I'll try this myself, which can be incredibly overwhelming, because now it's like, you know, Dr. Google and actually Facebook groups and like all this advice and books and AI and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, all right, now what do I do? Like, do I just start throwing stuff against the wall and hope it sticks? Or like, how do I take all of this and put it together into like, this is the thing. Like I have all these puzzle pieces on the thing, but on the table, but how do I put them all together into a straight line, right? Into like, I'm here and I want to get here. So what we need is a system. You need a system to uncover root causes, apply some dietary, some nutritional, and some lifestyle strategies, otherwise many times known as an AIP protocol, an autoimmune protocol, and then bring those two together. So implement an AIP protocol, some dietary work, some nutritional work, lifestyle stuff, and create some real healing now, where typically standard care falls very short, and even really functional care falls very short as well. Okay. So we need a straight line, repeatable, clear roadmap. We need a system that is going to do two things. That's all we need to do. We need to do two things. We need to figure out someone's root causes, and we need to fix them. We need to put them in context with the person. So it's not just running blind tests and treating tests or treating symptoms. We need to do a test, and then we need to say, this is the person. These are the tests we ran. Now let's put them together and let's implement an AIP protocol and address the root causes that we have found. That's it. That's like the recovery roadmap. And it needs to be repeatable, and it needs to be monitored, and it needs to be way different than conventional medicine. What I just said, if many of you are hearing this for the first time, you're like, wow, that sounds pretty darn different than what I'm getting from my medical doctor for sure, and even maybe my functional medicine doctor. So we need a step-by-step system that's going to identify root causes, how to fix these things when we find them, and how do we navigate this healing journey without like wacky extreme protocols and thousands and tens and thousands of dollars and health coaching and supplements and all this kind of stuff. We need a strategic root cause approach to replace all of that, and the overwhelm, the restriction, the trial and error, the feeling lost out there, not getting anywhere, feeling hopeless. This is a clear, repeatable process. And again, we want to shift from researching, learning, figuring stuff out to doing. We need to put an action plan in place I need to put an action plan in place for a patient, and then we need to implement it, and then we need to monitor it, and then we need to tweak and shift and pivot along the way. When maybe something doesn't go right, or maybe something new pops up, or what have you. These are things that we have to navigate. It's not really a straight line, but we need a straight line roadmap on like, these are the things we need to do to get there. And that's it, gang. It's figuring out root causes and implementing an AIP protocol, putting all that together for each individual person. That framework is going to look a little bit different for everyone. It has to. It has to. There is no cookie cutter. There is no one plan for everyone. There isn't. It's very individualized. Functional medicine in general should be. Unfortunately, there's a lot of docs out there, again, doing it that are turning it into cookie cutter. It's not the way it works. So hopefully that makes sense. That's the smart way. That's the smart straight line way to figuring out and treating Hashimoto's, a root cause approach that's going to bring us clarity on what are the underlying root causes of your Hashimoto's. It has to be done. And again, that's usually labs. And then implementing a plan for you, for the individual, that's going to help manage the condition through diet, nutrition, lifestyle modification, and dealing with any additional root causes that we find on some lab testing maybe that are going to vary from person to person. So we start out broad with like the carpet bomb of an AIP protocol. And then over time for everyone, we're going to do this because we're going to find a different combination of root causes that they have that's going to be different from the next person. So we have to meld a plan for them short-term and long-term moving forward. There's no cure for Hashimoto's. We can get it to remission, but we got to figure it out first. And then we got to build a plan, a smart plan moving forward for that person to heal it. I wish there were another way. Like people want me to give them on a silver platter, like what's the magic? Like what's the magic protocol? What's the magic? It doesn't exist. I'm sorry. Like the only way to do this is to work with someone like me. Like you have, like we have to do it together. Like it doesn't exist and it won't ever. There's no like, oh, here's the program, here's the plan. We have a framework that we work within, but it's going to be individualized for everybody. So it just doesn't exist. Someone's like, oh, I want the DIY thing. Like I don't want to put in the work, or I don't want to pay, or whatever. And I don't want to change my diet. I don't want to do that. Like then you can't get better because there's just no other way around it. It's like being a little bit pregnant. It doesn't exist. Like you're pregnant or you're not. Like we're all in to fix this thing or we're not. And it's okay if you're not, but if you're all in, you got to go all in. And I can help you with that. That's what I do. But you have to find someone like me, or you can just reach out to me. And this is what has to be done. This is the smart way forward. There just is no program that's going to work for everybody. That's super cookie cutter. That's like, here, this is, $49. Follow this. You'll get better for Hashimoto's. This is your DIY. One size fits all magic bullet Hashimoto's treatment. It doesn't exist. There's no magic wand. There's no magic supplement. There just isn't. So if we want to get to if we want to get a real solution in place, you have to get to the root cause of it for each individual person and put a plan together that's going to fix that stuff so they can get better in the short term, relief from the symptoms, and then build a long-term plan for remission so they can stay better. That's the smart way to heal your Hashimoto's. I want to thank you for tuning in to Hashimoto's Unfiltered, Real Talk, Real Solutions. Again, my name is Dr. Ray Benedetto, and I hope today's episode helped to give you the tools and the insights you need to take another step forward on your Hashimoto's journey. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode if you think someone could benefit. You can also connect with me on Facebook at Dr. Ray Benedetto and on my website, drraybenedetto.com, for more resources and updates. Until next time, remember, you're not alone, and real solutions are always within reach. Take care and be well.